Hello and welcome to today's anatomy question. I'm Lizzie Lasater, and joining us with a grin, Mary Richards. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Lizzie.
Here's the website, experientialanatomy.yoga. That's where we have all our fun. Go there, get on our mailing list, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I always forget to say that.
Yes, there's tons of great content on this YouTube channel. Not that I'm biased.
Someone wrote the cutest comment the other day. She said, "Why does this channel not have more subscribers? These videos are great." I was like, thank you. All right, so we are working through 30 Essential Yoga Poses by Judith Hanson Lasater, also known as Mama. And today we find ourselves at pose number 23, head of the knee pose, which no one ever says. No one says it like that. Janu Sirsasana is the name of this pose, which I have to admit, I rarely practice.
Tell me more.
I find it really a super strong stretch on my hamstrings. They don't really enjoy it. And I guess a little bit on the side body. I don't know. It's just a pose I always conveniently forget to do. I'm much more likely to practice Baddha Konasana or even Upavista or maybe Paschimottanasana, but I tend to do my hamstring stretching really in Uttanasana, standing forward bend. So,
well, that makes sense because seated forward folds are the least efficient way to stretch your hamstrings for a variety of reasons. It's a lot more efficient as well as efficacious to stretch your hamstrings in a standing forward fold.
Right.
A lot of that has to do with gravity. But the great thing about Janu Sirsasana, in my opinion,
sell me on the pose,
is that it takes one hamstring group at a time.
Okay.
So it's not like a bilateral pose like Paschimottanasana where you're stretching, you're trying to get into both hamstrings at the same time, which can be difficult for a lot of people. So I like the opportunity to have a one-on-one dialogue with each side of the body.
I like the way you say that. For me, maybe it also, was just thinking it might have to do a little bit like an ego thing where like I don't enjoy how far my forehead is from my shin. Like when I do Uttanasana, I feel pretty like, oh, I'm doing yoga and I'm just like bending in half. And then when I do Janu Sirsasana, I'm like, what's happening here? Why is my head so far from the ground?
When did a normal person show up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
maybe we can look at that.
Well, here's the other thing too about seated postures. In general, seated postures are the most difficult because think about it. You have a stop provided by the floor.
Right.
And so that is going to identify pretty quickly where you have restrictions that you likely don't enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the great thing about Janu is it really allows you to work the diagonal lines of the body. So it's very easy to be exceptionally aware of the hamstrings on the extended leg, the front leg. But one of the major benefits of the pose, especially since it's least efficient to stretch the hamstrings in a seated posture, one of the primary benefits of the pose is the stretch, the tension it provides for the thoracolumbar fascia, which connects your shoulders to your pelvis. And for most of us, we're tight there.
Right.
And it's so excellent for stretching that back side of the body because that facilitates our breathing efficiency and comfort because 60% of our functional lung tissue is in the back lungs. And a lot of us carry tension, both functional tension from activities of daily living, as well as emotional load in the back body. And Janu Sirsasana is an opportunity to parcel out that tension load.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. So what's your big idea for us in this pose? Like what will help me and hopefully others enjoy the pose more?
Two things. Okay, first we need to lift our pelvis. We need to sit on a blanket or two, because by lifting the pelvis, that's going to facilitate comfort in the low back, and it's also going to make it easier for us to fold forward, to roll forward at the hip, because we don't want to bend at the base of the rib cage or the middle of the low back or at L5S1. We really want the flexion to begin at the hip. So lifting the base. And the other thing that I like is I don't like to practice this pose with a square pelvis. I want to displace the sitting bones on an angle. So if I have my right leg forward, let's say, I'm going to work the right side first. I want my left sitting bone back about a fist length. I want a significant angle in the pelvis, because that's going to facilitate the sensations in the back body that I consider the crown jewels of the pose.
All right, let's try it.
Okay.
All right, so what do you want me to sit on to lift my pelvis?
I'd like you to sit on a blanket or two, Lizzie.
Okay.
On the neat edge of a blanket. So you can feel, do you feel pulling in your hamstrings right now, just sitting like this?
No.
Okay, great. So I asked that question because if you did, I would ask you to sit up on another blanket and even to roll a third blanket and place it behind your knees. Okay. So typically the way we practice this pose is we start in Dandasana in staff position like you're in now, with the sitting bones on the same plane. And let's go ahead from this position and bring the left heel in toward the root of the body. Okay, so do you feel how you're already flexed in your low back and leaning forward and scooping your tail under a bit?
Yeah, and it feels congested.
Yes, yes. So what I would like you to do now is I'd like you to move your left sitting bone back significantly and allow yourself to have at least a fist width of space between your left foot and your right inner thigh. Yes. So now you can increase or decrease the amplitude of the pose by adding more space between your bent leg foot and your straight leg thigh.
Okay. So this makes it easier or harder when I make more space?
I think that it's easier for the hamstrings, but it's harder for the thoracolumbar fascia.
Okay.
So you just have to kind of pick your poison, if you will. Okay, so now before you start to fold forward, because see, you're already thinking about the pose.
Yeah.
I want you to think about now, just you're touching the ceiling with the crown of the head. And now exhale and turn your rib cage to the right comfortably for you. Yes. And now keep lengthening through the crown of your head as you draw the pit of your abdomen from your pubic bones to your navel. Draw that abdominal wall back, squeezing your organs back into your body. And now exhale and fold at the right hip. Don't worry about getting your breastbone on your thigh bone. Rest the right rib cage on the right thigh or in the direction of. Now, let your pelvis be light but push your left thigh bone down.
Here.
Yes, the root of the left thigh bone moves back and down. And if it feels good to you, take your left hand to the outside of your right foot. And breathe into the skin of the back. And you can always put a block on your shin bone to support your forehead.
Mm-hmm.
And now, how does this feel to you?
That's what I was just craving. Was like my head was like.
Yeah, I love to have the block. You can also stack your fists, rest your forehead on your stacked fists.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you notice in your back body right now, Lizzie? Is your back flat or is it rounded?
Rounded.
This is normal.
Mm-hmm. I feel
now, when you look back at this video, though, you're going to see that you don't have a very rounded lumbar, which I like.
Okay.
Because you folded at the hip. You didn't fold into your low back.
I definitely like this way of practicing a lot better. It feels more open and more, I mean, I guess what I sometimes feel in the traditional alignment about this pose is I just feel kind of like a beetle. Like, I feel like it's like so Kafka-esque or something. I just feel very, congested and folded in on myself in an unpleasant way.
Yeah, and it's confusing for the axis of the hips because you've got one thigh abducted and externally rotated and the other thigh, you know, in neutral. It's the pelvis is like, what's going on? What's going on? And that plays up into your belly brain. It's confusing for the body. So I like to kind of get that bent leg out of the way.
Mm. All right, I'm going to do the second side. Do you turn the blanket you're sitting on?
I typically will fold the Tadasana blanket in half again, so it's extra thick, and I will sit on the neat corner. So my bum is lifted, but it frees up my legs a bit. I have a bit more pelvic rotation.
Right.
Oh, I love this view. This view. Oh.
Okay. So would you mind talking me through it one more time so we hear your words?
Yes. So I really like what I'm seeing, that your right sitting bone is back much farther than your left. Mm-hmm. Now, take a little bit more weight onto the big toe side of your left heel.
Okay.
And push the femurs. Now push both thigh bones down. Yeah. Exhale and turn your right rib cage toward your left. Again, you're not trying to line up your breastbone. All right? We're just putting rotation into the thoracic region because that's where it belongs. And this sets up some dynamic opposition in the organs that I like. Now contract from the pubic bones to the belly button. And even if you don't feel this happening, you're still telling yourself to do it. Move your organs back out of the way. And then at that left hip, fold. And the right hip is rolling over and around that anchored right thigh bone. So we're not trying to crank ourselves into rotation to get the breastbone onto the thigh bone. You're just lining up your rib cage comfortably, left rib cage onto left thigh. Moving in that direction.
This is where I kind of land when I feel like I'm doing the honest pose. I'm trying to do the, like, show myself I can do the pose. Then I like roll down. But do you like the head down like this? Does it?
No, and I'll tell you why, because that's just neck flexion. Mm-hmm. And I could also see the collapse in the left lower rib cage, all of that compression around your stomach and your spleen. And I don't want that for you. Just keep your chin aligned with your breastbone and keep reaching out gently through the crown of the head. Exhale, sorry. Exhale, and see if the exhalation invites a little more rotation into the rib cage.
It's such a strong pose on the back body.
This is the thing, it's a very strong pose. Very strong.
Yeah.
And we underestimate it because we think, oh, I'm just sitting down.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to come say goodbye. Mary, that has given me a not insignificant amount of hope for that pose. One thing I love about yoga is that I go through phases with poses where I'll have a love affair with the pose for months or even a year or two where I practice it a ton. And so maybe Janu Sirsasana will be one of my new love affairs.
Yeah, maybe. And because you have 5.5-month-old twins, that type of pose is healthy for you now because it's going to help your organs get reorganized. That belly compression and the like will help your abdominal muscles sync up again. But most importantly, it helps, our organs need the compression. It helps move things through our system. Squeeze and soak, squeeze and soak, squeeze and soak.
Mary, brilliant once again. Thank you so much. Tell us where we can find you.
Yoga with Mary Richards on the Gram and Facebook, and maryrichardsyoga.com. And experientialanatomy.yoga.
Here is the website. Go here, get on the list, get emails from me. Be happy. Namaste.
Namaste.
So much.